That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Companion, the directorial debut of Drew Hancock, which Warner Brothers is releasing January 31st, 2025.
Directorial debut.
Yes.
What is Companion about? A billionaire's death sets off a chain of events for Iris and her friends during a weekend trip to his lakeside estate. That makes it sound much more exciting.
That's more like a Lawrence Kasdan film, like Darling Companion, which that movie's terrible.
What is your pull quote?
A handful of entertaining moments can't override the feeling Companion is never as shrewd, slick, or scintillating as it should be regarding leased sex slave AI cyborgs used as murder weapons in recycled neo-noir plots orchestrated by greedy, inept humans.
Mine. Sophie Thatcher keeps this leaky boat afloat. Very simple.
She does. She definitely is the highlight.
For sure. I hadn't watched, I did see the trailer.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And this was still a surprise to me. So I feel pretty silly because just looking at the movie poster should tell you what you need to know.
Well, yeah, I'm like, when are we going to get those milk eyes?
The story's pretty basic. A group of friends go to this beautiful chalet in the woods somewhere, and we learn that it's owned by this very rich man named Sergey, played by an actor who is in the Society of Magical Negroes.
Rupert Friend? Yeah, is he in that? I forgot he's in that. Asteroid City, we saw him in recently. Yes. I think you know him opposite Suri with Michelle Pfeiffer.
Oh.
Maybe even if the more discerning have seen Mrs. Palfrey at the Claremont opposite the recently deceased Joan Plowright.
Anyhow, this mixed match of people just don't make any sense. So that's a first red flag. But the main characters are Josh, played by
Jack Quaid,
and Iris, played by Sophie Thatcher. Mm-hmm. So it's clear that Iris is kind of like the odd person out. The main female friend is named Kat.
Played by Megan Suri, who you know from the film It Lives Inside, which we reviewed.
And Iris is aware that Kat doesn't really like her. So we go into this house with like this sort of odd tension. It seems like Iris and Josh are kind of, something seems off. The friend group doesn't seem like they belong together. When all of a sudden, Iris one morning goes out by the lake to just enjoy the day, and Sergey attempts to assault her sexually, and she kills him. So when she comes back to the house, she's all bloody, like, I had to do it, he tried to hurt me. And that's when we learn that Iris is a robot, like Megan. So Josh is like, well, I guess we have to decommission her. But before we do that, let me say goodbye. And like any horrible villain in a movie, he decides to explain everything to her.
Too much talking.
Which of course upsets her because she doesn't know she's a robot. That's how sophisticated her software is. But as the audience, we learn that Iris killing Sergey is not by accident. And we need to get into this plot because it feels so flimsy, like this plan. But Josh planned to have Iris kill Sergey along with Kat because they want to steal $12 million in cash that Sergey has in a vault in the house. And they can get into the vault because Kat, we find out, is his side piece. And she says all of his passwords are Stalin's birthday, which I didn't think was funny. But they get the money. However, Iris is able to escape. And we learn a few things about her programming, that of course this AI is designed not to ever hurt humans, really anything, including other AI robots.
She can't lie.
She can't lie. Also, her interface, obviously there's an app that Josh has on his phone, and he can control a number of things, including her intelligence. And we find out that there are regulations, so like 100% intelligence can't be like ultimate power. So basically, like if she were ever set to 100%, that's the equivalent of like an Ivy League graduate. So we see that Josh had her set at 40%, but she takes Josh's phone and escapes, and then sort of makes herself 100% intelligent, and then she turns off the voice commands. Because the reason we know she's a robot initially is Josh says, Iris, go to sleep, and she shuts down. Which, again, because my dumbass didn't look at the poster, I was gagged when that happened. But anyway, now that she's kind of free, she escapes, and we can get into the specifics. However, Josh, the other friends in the group are
A gay couple. Eli and Patrick, played by Harvey Guillén and Lukas Gage.
And we find out Lukas Gage is a robot,
Yes.
which makes sense, and we'll get to it. But Josh reprograms Lukas Gage's character, Patrick,
After Eli is dispatched.
to be like the Terminator, and he tells him, go get Iris and bring her back. Mm-hmm. He does, and Josh has Iris kill herself. Well, destroy herself by shooting herself in the head. So he calls the company that made her to come get her, and they take her back to the vehicle, but not before they tell Josh, who thinks he's gotten away with murder and stealing $12 million. Because the other lady also dies.
Cat's dead, yep.
Basically, everyone's dead except Josh and the other robot, Patrick. So he thinks he just got away with $12 million. But the technicians tell him, oh, don't worry. If we missed any questions, we can just pull it from her surveillance. And Josh is surprised, which we need to talk about. But he seems so shocked that this super advanced AI robot that he's leasing, he doesn't even own it, would have like full surveillance and record everything. So when he realizes that, he decides he has to destroy Iris, like fully dismantle her. So Patrick tries, but then again, another plot point that didn't make sense to me is Iris is very easily able to convince Patrick that Josh is tricking him. So Patrick kills himself. Iris goes in, kills Josh, takes the $12 million. Not before one of the technicians, because she saved one of their lives, she convinces that guy.
Jaboukie Young White, the comedian who's in a very limited role.
Yeah, surprisingly, he unlocks her like a stolen iPhone. So she takes this money and steals a car, and the end of the movie is her riding off into the sunset talking about she now has her freedom. I think what's unfortunate is there are so there's so many interesting things that could have been developed, and instead it just feels like.
Well, I guess I'm confused about what it's trying to say.
Right.
Because at first, recent films like Megan come to mind, but you can go back to an OG in this field with the Stepford Wives. But again, I don't understand what this film is trying to say about where we are now.
Yeah, well, so it's not, I'm not getting a sense of what it's saying about where we are now with technology or AI. I don't know what it's saying about love, because Josh explains that he feels like the world is against him, which gets a laugh from the audience because he's like this, white guy who seems to have a pretty nice life. But he says that he's lonely. And Iris loves him. So I'm confused what it's saying about love.
Or Don't Worry, Darling, I think came up.
Something like that.
Or companionship or expectations or boundaries or anything. It's missing like a major component.
Or even this female presenting character, Iris, what does it say about this effectively woman fighting for her freedom? Because I don't know that's going to amount to anything. She's still a robot that can be shut down. So, and what she's done is considered illegal, right? So it's not like they're going to find her and be like, okay, girl, you can go ahead and be independent.
Right. Or, well, we don't ever get to see like what could this being want?
Right.
Like what are Iris's desires? Does she have any? Because I mean, that's what doesn't make sense about what happens to Patrick, the Lukas Gage character.
Well, let's talk about that, because my first note is, let's talk about the love link. Because we see when Josh first ordered Iris, she comes in a box and there are technicians to help set it up, and they tell him like, it's pretty much like self-explanatory. She's going to tell you what to do. And so when Iris finally powers up and turns on, she says, you need to be within 3 feet of my face, and I'm going to register you, tell me your name. And then we see that the owner, Josh, has pre-selected like a meet cute scenario. And theirs is that they met in like a grocery store. So she immediately falls in love with him. And I thought that was really cute. But then at the point where Josh has to take control of Patrick, he basically resets Patrick and then has Patrick love link with him. So then I thought, oh, won't this be interesting? But they don't do anything with that.
They do absolutely nothing with the implications of that. Also, the fact that Josh boots up Patrick's aggressiveness to 100%.
Well, we need to talk about that too. I didn't mention the way Josh is able to get Iris to kill, because they're programmed not to hurt people, is that he did some backdoor programming, broke into her system, and was able to remove that default, but also set her aggression higher.
Yes.
And for Patrick, he sets his aggression to 100. So like you were probably going to say.
So he has no filter, but Being's behavior that is also using violence is also going to be more sexually aggressive. Aggressive doesn't just mean prone to violence when provoked.
Right.
This person that is head over heels for you is also going to be wanting things more aggressively.
So I fully thought Patrick was going to be sexually aggressive with Josh. Like that seemed like it'd be interesting, but no.
Nope, they don't do that.
Okay, for sure the best part of the film to me is Iris, and she has some really fun scenes. The first one is when she gets a hold of Josh's phone and learns that he has settings for her, and she's playing with them, like playing with her eye color, her voice. When she sees that he only set her to 40% intelligence, that was really cute. So she sets herself to 100%.
And that's when I'm like, this film is it's finally gonna hit.
I fully thought we were gonna get this like cunning, like slick sort of robot killer to get revenge.
Like Natasha Henstridge in Species, like she's gonna run laps around these fools.
We get the opposite. We just get this lady standing at the top of the hill saying, how can I escape?
Pondering her outcomes out loud.
She didn't seem like someone who was quite intelligent.
Well, too much talking to oneself. I don't know. Again, it reminded me that this is a better film than that, but Luc Besson's Lucy with Scarlett Johansson, where you see her brain going to 100% capacity. But the film, how it's written, is not at 100% capacity.
Well, especially since we see that he's programmed her, like maybe her system has been unlocked fully. So that's why I was thinking, oh, even though they told us she would have the intellect of an Ivy League graduate at 100, because when she puts herself to 100, we hear this noise like she's ramping up. So I thought, oh, maybe she broke the system and now she's going to be like a supercomputer. No.
Well, and what's the failsafe when these beings do discover that they are software per se, but highly intelligent software? What's the fail-safe?
Yeah.
Because I would have to imagine that there was testing done with these things, that when they find out that they could be a sentient being, wouldn't they want to be?
So Josh drives a Hyundai electric car, and apparently it's self-driving. So while Iris is using 100% of her brain, she's like, oh, I can use the car to drive me home. So she's able to get into the car, but then she realizes that the voice recognition is not recognizing her. And I did think it was a good scene, because while Josh is using a rock trying to break in, she's playing with her filters to change her voice to sound like Josh, which does start the car. And she is able to get away, but then Josh uses the dead man, Sergey's phone, to report his car stolen. So then the self-driving car shuts down and pulls to the side of the road. So then a sheriff shows up, played by
Marc Menchaca,
who I like,
from the Outsider series.
And I thought, again, I think all the best scenes are Iris, because she cannot lie. If she knows if the cop asks her what's going on, she's going to tell on herself. So she programs herself to speak German. So while the cop is asking her questions, she can understand him in English, but she's responding in German. And she's telling the truth, like, oh, I killed someone back at the house, I got to get away. But he doesn't understand. But at this point, Patrick, the Terminator, comes and kills the cop and brings them both back to the house. I do think that it's so funny that the characters that worked the best for me were the two robots.
The AI is more empathetic than the actual humans, who are all wretched.
But then getting back to Patrick and Eli, so first off, when we first meet that entire friend group, they all just feel really icky together.
It doesn't make any sense. And also Rupert Friend, he even refers to himself as an old man. I know he's older than the rest of the main cast, but using Stalin's birthday as everybody, that to me, that read is much older than how Rupert Friend presents.
I agree. I don't think that character matched the casting.
But yet none of them really make this melange of people here is kind of like, How? Why?
Well, it's never explained how Kat and Josh are friends. Then you have Eli, the gay guy. I didn't get a sense of how they're really close. Then before I knew that there were robots involved, Eli and Patrick seemed like an odd couple, like they were a little too lovey-dovey. Of course, once we learn that there are robots in the building, it makes more sense. But I think because the first 20 minutes kind of put a bad taste in my mouth, I think it was hard to recover. I was a little annoyed with these people.
Well, it's not that it's a slow start. It just, lots of it seems very familiar. Even the meat cute in the grocery store was reminding me of the grocery store produce meat cute and fresh with Sebastian Stan and Daisy Edgar Jones. And then come to find, of course, that was a scenario, which, again, there's some interesting meta-ish moments, but it doesn't really coalesce in a way that really feels successful.
But Patrick is trying to kill the robot technicians. He is successful in killing one, but the other one, the comedian, gets away, and Iris saves him. And she does so by reminding Patrick that you're not in love with Josh, you're in love with Eli. And then we get Patrick sort of thinking, and we can see in his head that he's envisioning both men. Mm-hmm. And then somehow, then she goes, he says, you're lying to me. And she reminds him that I can't lie. And this fool takes a stun gun and basically kills himself.
That didn't make any sense.
That didn't make any sense to me.
And again, they drop these hints about, he's an old model that Eli never turned in when he needed to. So does that make them
he
less
must have really loved him?
Controllable? I don't know.
I don't know.
But that was giving me After Yang vibes.
Oh, sure. And then the final kill, which is Iris killing Josh, she kills him with this bottle opener that we had seen being used twice before. And Iris tells Josh, go to sleep, because he had told her that. I mean, I just wish that the opportunities to say something more and do something a little more subversive and interesting were taken. Mm-hmm. Because while I like the organization of the story, the pacing feels a little off. There were moments when I was kind of okay, waiting for the next thing.
Yes. And again, from the perspective, if they could have done something, I think, I know you like the organization. I think it would have been more interesting if it was really just from the perspective of, say, Iris, so that when she's at the beginning being frequently turned off. So it's you'd have lots of jarring edits.
That would be a good approach.
To she's suddenly waking up and it's we're being oriented with her, what the hell is going on?
I really like that.
But their plan that these yoo-hoos put together to murder Sergey makes no damn sense.
So all we know is that Sergey's rich, and then because he's Russian, and everyone thinks that he's a mobster or something. And I knew he wasn't because Patrick asks him, what do you do for work? And it's someone with this kind of money doesn't work. He's not an electrician. So Sergey says, I have my fingers in a lot of things, but I get my hands really dirty. And that's when I knew, he makes his money legit, probably he owns a bunch of auto body shops or something that would get your hands dirty. And we find out that he's a sod farmer. Mm-hmm. I didn't think that was funny, but he's married with kids, but he has this side piece, Kat.
But then, when somebody like that, wouldn't AI?
Wouldn't he have a
sex robot be the best? Why would he have this live woman that's hard to deal with?
Why would he buy this house? Because he says, I need privacy, so I have this house 100 miles away from any road. But yeah, couldn't he just have a fleet of sex robots?
But then the plan is to position Iris alone by him one morning. I don't know about assault happens at all the time. Just you're expecting him to be really rapey at 9 a.m.
So Josh says that he put a knife in Iris's pocket, and that he had deprogrammed her to defend herself against, I guess, any human. Mm-hmm. And that Kat told Sergey, you can have sex with Iris. Mm-hmm. So he says to Iris, hey, I want to... He's not being super aggressive. He just starts kissing her on the neck and says, Kat said it's okay.
Yeah, and this is what you're for.
And Iris hits him in the head with a vodka bottle. He hits a rock, starts bleeding. He jumps on top of her, and she stabs him in the neck with the knife. That just all feels so flimsy. Like, what if he would have not fallen on the rock? Or what if he would have not lunged at her?
There are so many things. Like, or the part where Jack Quaid is taking all the money at the end while Lukas Gage is supposed to be taking care of the robot technicians outside. He's not even looking to check that is successfully happening. I
still can't believe that. Jack Quaid's character seems pretty tech savvy. He uses this fancy phone to control this sex robot. He drives a self-driving car.
He knows how to override her.
He knows how to use like an external hard drive to insert software to... But then he's like dumbfounded when the technician says that, of course, she's capturing video.
But why is it just stuck at... Why isn't it being uploaded to the company that owns her? This is an expensive piece of equipment.
It's explained to us that because Josh thinks that if he has her shoot herself in the head, that will destroy her hard drive. But the technician explains, oh no, her hard drive is in her belly. But also, like you said, wouldn't this thing be uploading to the cloud?
You know what?
Because we're told she has Wi-Fi.
What would make more sense is that somebody that works at this agency is seeing her feed and seeing that this sex robot has an opportunity to murder somebody with $12 million, and that person manipulates her.
The sign of a story I don't like is when I can think of so many better versions.
Without even really thinking about it.
I think at the bare minimum, not changing anything about this movie, I wish they would have just started the weekend trip with everyone being normal. I just hated that we walk into like this really odd scenario. Mm-hmm. But anyway, I'm sure people will like this film. I don't dislike it, but I just felt like, God, I really wanted to like this more. And I don't. And it was produced by the Barbarian team. The director of that, I think, had planned on directing this at one point, Zach Kreger. But yeah, I just feel like it's missing something really major to make this pop in the way that makes me excited about it. I'm not excited about this movie. Dang. What would you give Companion?
2.5.
I think it's okay. I would give it 2.5 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.